All right, and welcome back to Talking Tactical. We have special guest Roland tonight, who is above me on the stream. He is going to be talking. Roland, wow, Rolo. Oh man,
No,
I'm
Roland is his first name. Not incorrect. We just call him Rolo for fun.
All right, there we go. So we're gonna be
you can call me whatever that want.
All right, awesome.
Mr. Roland Texan Bourgeois. Bourgeois. I got it right the first time. I don't think I've ever actually said it out loud. I've only ever read it on paper. Or Facebook, rather. Ow.
All right, so we're talking custom gear tonight, loadouts, a whole bunch of stuff, paintball in general, probably throw in some airsoft as well. So it's definitely going to be a fun show. So welcome, everyone. We do have some viewers already. Some people are excited for custom gear. So let's start off with what's everyone been up to with the fall weather starting up. So Jarvis, you're up above me here. You're first as you stare.
I've been working again. I was supposed to go to PRZ today, but I got a call in today, so I decided to go to that instead. And apparently, there's a group of people going to Bad Boys Paintball tomorrow out in
Peterborough area.
Yeah,
Like east of Peterborough.
Southeast of Peterborough, or south of Norwood, almost directly south of Norwood.
Yep. Yeah, so that'll be good. I like it. I haven't been there yet, but I've heard really good things, especially with the food that's on site. So I know that's always
Bar and grill on site, apparently. Yeah,
bar grill on site, and like a good one, like worth stopping, even if you're not even playing paintball. So.
And yourself, Rolo, what are you doing these days?
To be honest, I'm just working. I am actually playing a bit of airsoft. I went for like a camping excursion up in Burnt River, but I haven't been playing much.
Burnt River or Burned River?
Burnt River.
Whereabouts is that?
Northeast. Yeah, northeast of Pefferlaw.
I didn't ask you. I asked him.
I grew up around that area, so I'm allowed to chime in.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
How was it?
It was intense. It was like 30 hours plus of milsim, just like walking around with gear. And the rain.
Now,
the best parts of soldering.
Good old-fashioned portage.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, were you guys portaging or were you just camping out?
Just camping. But we're doing like about 10-kilometer hikes every 10 hours.
Yeah, that'll definitely be good. All right, awesome. So for myself, because no one asked me, but whatever.
Well, we were getting there. He wasn't finished yet, Billy. Like, listen to this guy. He's already jumping down our throat. We haven't even started yet.
I know.
So, Tyler, tell us about your new job schedule, as it has uprooted our entire podcast. How's work going?
Busy. Busy is the best answer.
Yeah.
I've working a little bit of a later shift, which may or may not be changing in a month or two. So fingers crossed we can go back
again.
To
oh,
weekly.
Fantastic!
I know, right? So much fun. But if it changes once more, then weekday shows become a guarantee, which is good.
What are you spinning there, Ro?
It's my Beretta.
That's a Tipex.
It's a Tipex, but it's my Beretta.
Oh boy.
So you want, I think that's a good segue, actually. So Tyler, you wanted to talk about gear. You want to talk about modding. It's your show.
So you have probably one of the most famous custom markers right now that you modded out of a TIPX.
Famous?
One. He has several of the famous.
No, I said one. I said one of the most famous, not only one. But
carry on,
because that thing's been
what's in your lap?
It's bullpup-ish. So go ahead and show it off, and then I'm gonna fix Jarvis because I just realized that you're hiding in his stream.
So yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of custom work, and this was sort of my baby. This is what I started with, and it was just like a Glock carbine kit, and I put a Tipex in it. It was actually back in the CQB days. God,
is it that
5
old?
years ago now.
Oh, it's not been that long.
Yeah, I mean, I've rebuilt it twice, but yeah, I started this thing 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, this was sort of like the my first foray into modded paintball guns, and yeah, I think it's unfair to say that it's a famous one. Like there's been some really crazy.
It's internet famous. Let's be honest.
You are the famous modder, so you are known for your modded guns.
I guess
for sure. I know for a fact that. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah, no, finish.
I got nothing. Finish.
So before this, there's the FAMAS, which I don't have anymore. It's been taken apart. But yeah, I did the FAMAS too. I don't think anyone's actually seen it unless you've actually watched that video.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about.
So here, show that one up again, because I'm just going to switch the scene, because I just realized you're just kind of getting cut off, so I'm just going to throw it up more on the stream here. So go ahead. Like, just kind of hold it out.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So just so people can get, like, the true glory of that.
What is that? What is that made of? It looks like the Hera kit on the top.
So it's Glock Carbine Hera kit, which is the top. There's the P90 lower. You can see it's got, I think this is, I want to say an 8CI tank.
Yeah, because like a 10 would be a little bit bigger, I think.
Yeah, so it's not the Milsig 10CIs that they're selling. It's actually like a reserve air supply for scuba diving.
Okay.
It's like a super small tank. And then
Last ditch effort.
Yeah, and then it's got the Tipex itself. So.
Now, could you use something other than a Tipex or the Zeta Mag, sorry, in there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, Zetas are sort of my go-to because they're the most practical. You get 10 rounds and then 10 rounds, but it'll fit the extended 8 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
I want to call them extended, but the Milsig 8 rounds.
Yep.
Or no, which ones are those? 9 rounds? 8 rounds?
Milsig have the 8 rounds, yeah.
Is it 9?
I can't.
Because TIPX is 7.
Did they one up their ball round? I don't remember.
I feel like this is a Google moment.
This is a comment moment.
So
Somebody's digging into the comments and how is it? No, they're 8-round mags. Those were unless they one up the count because I know they had to add a catch. I'm pretty sure it's only 8 rounds.
I'm gonna say 8.
Yeah, I know they're a better value than the same Tipex ones though.
Long story short, though, they're smoother. They fit better. Yeah. And so they're only 8 rounds opposed to 10 though, so you do lose 10.
They are 8.
And the flippability, and the ability to flip it.
So I mean, I could even fit the drum mag if I wanted to.
That would be maybe not pretty, but that'd be pretty cool.
Tested this.
That'd be pretty cool.
No one's actually given me a drum mag to put in it. So.
Sorry, we're talking about the Helix mag or the
Helix mag.
Which drum mag? There's a lot of different mag. The Helix mag is. Wait, Helix is a RAP4 mag. The Milsig Tempest.
Yeah.
Tempest. There's names. There's too many flipping names for too many flipping things.
So
you need to have a proprietary mag for everything.
You're funny.
Because this takes basically just the Tipex.
Yeah. Okay. Semi-automatic. Is there any way have you dabbled with changing that to a fully automatic trigger at all, or would it be more like a bump trigger than a electronic?
I know a lot of people have I've read forums on making Tipexes full auto or somewhere in that range of burst, but I haven't experimented with it. And people have tried different things like solenoids. They've tried bump triggers, as you said, like a response trigger.
Yeah.
It's just fitting that with a magazine right behind the trigger. So you've got the trigger, and then the magazine fits in right behind it. You only have so much space to work with in terms of a full auto trigger.
And how
what
hard
if you
is it
modify
to get
that?
to,
Sorry, go ahead. Oh, sorry, I was just building a miniature bump trigger attached to that slide. The trigger guide, the one that actually pushes the solenoid button. Yep. What if there was an extension onto that with just like the actual bump triggers, like those AR-15s? All it really is an attachment to the trigger, your hand, and the stock, so it vibrates back and forth. So what if you just put like a spring onto that slide, so that because I know with the TPX, every time it pushes in, it forces itself back out automatically. So could a spring help keep that going, or a dual spring system?
You could. I mean, try it out.
Sorry, we're getting into the. I would have to take it apart. Now you've got me. See, this is the problem. I need to have my own little tool shop. The only thing keeping me from doing a half of this is living with my fiance and not having a tool shop, because I can't do any of this modding and stuff on our living room table. It would just not be good. Yeah, no, it won't. It will not end well. Period. Not may. There's no may in that. But yeah, sorry. Now you just
thing.
opened. Carry on.
Like, you don't need a lot of tools. You don't need a full workshop. I built this Tipex with a Dremel. That's it. That's all I used was a Dremel and some epoxy. And of course, you know, putting the pieces together. So like pliers.
Yeah.
Some screwdrivers and Allen keys. Like, you don't need a lot. I have 2 Dremels. One was given to me, so I was lucky to get a backup, but I haven't burned through any of the motors. I have a bunch of different rotary bits that I can stick on. And if you don't know what a Dremel is, actually I have it right here.
For those of you playing the home game,
if you don't know what a Dremel is, you're losing out.
But it's also known as a rotary tool.
Actually, you know what's funny is I know more people know it as a rotary tool than a Dremel.
Well, it's just like a fine tool has a different name. It's just it's a brand, right?
Yeah.
Tissue. Kleenex is a brand. Tissue is the actual. Not even tissue paper is the actual name for it. Like shit tickets.
But no,
we just call it.
Yeah, and Dremels are great for that. Like, I've started to do a little bit of not like true modding to that extent, but same thing. Like, just working on stuff even around the house. Like, it's just such a good little custom tool that. And other people think like, oh, I need like the strongest one possible, and it's like, no, like, you really, really don't. Like, plastic and wood, even if you're doing some.
You just need the right bit.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I mean, that being said, when you're doing modding work, there are so many different disciplines. Like, if you go on the I think it's called like the MagFed custom marker group or something.
Oh, custom paintball
group. Yeah. I mean, I used to be part of it. I stopped because it was just too many notifications. But that is one of the largest groups that you could ever get ideas from, and you can see all of the different ideas that people get. Paint jobs, dip jobs, just accessorizing your markers, full bull pops, like full builds from like an Ego or I don't know, whatever you use.
Who was it that did those hydro dips?
I don't remember.
So
I mean, there's a lot of people that do.
What do you think then? What's harder? Maybe like fitting in a marker like what you've done, or paint jobs? Just like out of like a personal opinion, because like
it depends. Because like look at
you can do some really
Rancid had like a little stencil set up paint job where he did most of it by hand, I believe.
He did hand stencils. He made a multicam paint job, and it looks pristine. It looks like real cry, and that's the thing is you can't really. If you're going to go into what's more difficult, I mean, it depends on your discipline, because you can get really into doing a fine dip job that will never run, never wear off. Same with doing a mod. Like the FAMAS, for example, one of the first builds I did, actually the first build I did, fell apart after a while because the way I made it was with a plastic airsoft shell, and I didn't reinforce it. So it cracked after a while. It got worn down. I played it till it died.
Yeah, and CQB has never been good on markers. It's always been. It was famous for being a marker breaker. It really was.
Yeah. So I mean, the more you use the equipment, obviously, the more it's going to get worn out. And you want, I think, one of the key things with modding is you want it to last, because you have this badass thing. If this didn't work on me, it would just be a pretty wallflower. Like it wouldn't do anything, you know. So keeping a marker, especially when you're doing like a full build, making sure that you have access to all the maintenance that it usually comes with, or if you're making something that involves a little extra, making sure it's easy to tear down. I see that as a problem with a lot of builds, is where people will make something and you can't take it apart. Yeah. It is what it is, and it takes like 20 different screws of different sizes. It's taped together and shit. Like, if you ever take that apart, it will fall apart. And it sucks, right? Like, you put so much time and effort into this thing, and having a plan of how it can actually be even serviced on a paintball field. Like, if you can change the velocity even in an easy way, that's sort of important, right?
It's a great point, because like even
that's beyond important, because that's a safety issue. If you can't reach your velocity, and you get chrono checked, and there's a problem with your velocity right there on the field, well, you're gonna have to lower it down. Okay, well, now you got to leave the field. Now you got to deal with it, take the whole fucking gun apart. That's your whole day gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I see that a lot with custom builds too.
Yeah.
There's this guy with a badass marker. He's half the time he's off the field.
A badass piece of plastic.
Yeah, and it's like learn from what the industry's learned from. Use the same screws when you can. Like one joke is like have one Allen key size that you can have for the entire setup.
Yeah, like the Titmans.
Yeah.
One key to rule it all.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
One key for velocity. Well, then they completely did away with velocity keys with the Phenoms with that. All you have to do is use a stick, which was kind of a bad thing because anybody running around the field could be like, ah, shit, I'm shooting a little low. Snap. Pop, pop, pop. Oh, too high.
Well, okay. I mean, it's a very useful feature, but even just taking apart, like, since the A5s, having the pins for the body, I mean, it's still clamshell, so you got one Allen key for the rest of the screws, but having the I guess customizability of being able to remove some pins, take out a front shroud, put on a different one, that's pretty unique. And like that's I want to say groundbreaking in terms of being able to just quickly disassemble a marker, and you're seeing that more and more with industry standard.
Well, the quick to bolt access, like that's been on speedball markers for a while, but you're starting to see it come into the Milsim finally. That being said, though, I still say the X7 platform and A5 platform, by extension, is the most not in market, like not aftermarket, but kind of in market mod that existed, and I've never seen anyone try and pick it up. Like everyone's like, I think moving to the real steel, so they're making it just compatible with other stuff like the T15.
Yeah, like look at that.
So this is an X7 I built, custom SIG 552. Nope, not 3D printed.
No.
SIG 552 airsoft shroud. I got a nice front post on there, and then the back.
The 13 CI.
Yeah, actually, this is the 10 CI. This is a Milsig 10 CI.
And that's not that's an X7 Classic, right? That's not the.
This is the X7 Classic mechanical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I like
that old Magwell. I miss that Magwell.
Freaking love it. So this was the very first CQB marker that I used.
That one was in the rack.
Yeah. And I've had it ever since. It's never broken on me. X7's excellent markers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
But as to your point, like, not a lot of people mess around and customize X7s or A5s. I mean, they used to have the B5 kit, the bullpup kit, but they're
those were beautiful. I think Mauricio still has one, and he's never going to sell that. I've been begging him for years to get my hands on that thing, and I believe it's the one that went around for about a month, for about a decade. It bounced between the different CQB folks. I think it was Too Talls at one point.
Yep.
And now it was Jordan's, and now it's in Mauricio's hands. It's kind of like that Sarge kit that bounced around between like 12 of us, Bear, myself. What was his name? Matt Muscat, I think was the last person I remember who had it.
Yep. Yeah.
And then he kind of disappeared and became an EDM fan. So I don't know what happened from him.
Yeah.
Hey man, EDM's great.
Well, no, like he became not a DJ, but a hype man or something like that. Just quit paintball altogether. He walked in. I remember this vividly. He walked in at Deep's office and just said, "I'm done," and Deep just said, "Okay, so get out of my office." Didn't even let him give a chance. Didn't even give him a chance to defend himself. He just said, "Listen, Deep, I'm done." And Deep said, "Okay, there's the door." Like, that's the end of this conversation. You're done. You're done. There's the door. Be done. Like, didn't even give him a chance to like quit. Just okay, there it is. And I always kind of like that was such a power move. Like the guy comes in all confident, he thought about what he wants to say, and all of a sudden he just gets shot right down. All right.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like building up a speech and getting a chance to say it. They're just like, "We'll take it," but I didn't sell it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do you guys
go
feel
ahead.
now though? Like in the community are the best custom, like base custom markers, because we have seen Tittman got bought out by GI. I've been seeing their popularity in stores or online's definitely dipping. Like the TMC is that weird, you either love it or hate it. It is a good beginner marker, but I think I think the M17 capitalized on the beginner part, and MagFed's matured that little bit more in the used markets enough that people don't want to start with it.
So here's something I want to put forth is that it doesn't have to be a new on the market marker to be customizable. It depends on
for sure.
depends on what you're talking about. Are you if you're talking about aftermarket parts customizability with mil spec hardware? Absolutely.
Anything can be. Well, that's that opens a whole new can of worms because they're all made one-to-one. Because you can get those the RIS shroud adapters for anything now. Milsig, T15, TMC, everything. They all have those AR compatible shrouds. Yeah, and you've got yours as well.
So,
don't you? Do you not? Don't you not? Don't you not? Don't you not got it?
So my
once I give him the clamps, boss.
My newest creation is a Daniel Defense T15 shroud.
Mm-hmm.
So that's again in terms
Daniel
of
okay, explain that. Daniel Defense, is that the brand name?
No, it's the brand name of the RAS. So when we're talking about hardware that you can just bolt on, T15 Milsig, all of the new Milsim markers definitely have that compatibility, that ability in terms of customization. When you're getting into, I guess, more hardcore modding, like full body modification, you can go anywhere. It doesn't matter if it's a New World marker. You just want to use something that fits your design. Either it's easy to take apart or easy to work with. Like TIPXs, for example, I see so many TIPX mods, and that's because they're plastic. You can cut through everything on this thing.
Yeah, and they're small enough that they fit in. Like even if you're just putting a shell around it, you can do that easy enough. So
yep, I would say go ahead.
I was gonna say that's always been something I want to do is vacuum form the just those parts they have them all strapped together with just a piece of Velcro, just so they're all held in one place, because they can be, and then vacuum form that, and then find a way to mold that into a piece of aluminum, or even a harder resin of some kind of an expanding foam resin, and then just build off that. I've had 1,000 different ideas for these mods, but
when you have the garage and the time, and the time,
I know, just like the smoker and the barbecue I want to build out of all these things. There's so many projects written up, drawn on paper.
Yeah, exactly to your point. Like if you have the tools available to you, the sky's the limit. So for me, it's a Dremel. For some people, it's just cans of paints. Go down to Canadian Tire, whatever, buy a can of paint, and you're good.
Oh, there's something to be said about a good paint job, because I remember just doing that tiger striping on my old X7. People would just have a look at it and be like, "Oh, he's got a custom gun." It's like it's just paint, kids. It's just paint.
Or even aesthetic, like hand grips, throwing in like a color theme on your marker makes the world of a difference.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, going up that scale, if you're going to like lathes or like metalworking stuff, then yeah, you've got so much at your fingertips. You have so much potential. Or even 3D printers. I see a lot of 3D printed jobs, to your point, Jarvis, of just people that make their own bodies and then stick the internals, like the engine of any paintball gun they want in it.
Daniel Flint or Davey Flint on
Davey
Facebook.
Flint,
that 3D printed T17 or TM7, TM5.
Yep.
MP5.
Damn, I should know this. It's a Nova
Tactical Designs.
Yeah, Nova Tactical Designs.
They're doing.
He does a lot of 3D printed stuff.
Yeah, is he the one who's doing the full bullpup?
Yep.
Yeah.
He's got like a prototype. And I think it's still being backed. I'm not sure where the process is with that, but he does a lot of 3D printed work, like custom mags, front shrouds, etc. Just because he's got a 3D printer, so he can make whatever he wants, and that's really nice to have.
And MagFed Maker, I'm pretty sure they're the one who does the Victor kits, whatever the non-suing title is. For the
non-suing title.
For the M17s, which they just looked amazing. Like those were so pretty and such a simple aftermarket item to get, except I hate ZetaMag, so I can't do it.
Go ahead. No. Finish your thought.
I was laughing. I was gonna have a good chuckle at that. Go ahead.
So in terms of like third party, again, if you don't have access to a 3D printer, I recommend checking out this website. What's it called again? Prototype Division. SR. SR is the company.
Terrible
and they make
pitch.
Yeah, sorry. It's
SR Union.
SR Union, and basically they make bullpup kits for things like Glocks, Scars, airsoft stuff.
Oh, wow.
But I don't know. There was a post recently by MCS for like a bullpup.
Let's just call them what they are. Rap 4.
Okay, yeah, Rap 4 MCS. It doesn't matter. The company came out with a recent picture of like a bullpup rifle, and they used. I swear to God,
it's fucking ugly. I remember that. Yeah.
So I basically bought the kit a month ago, a month prior to that, and I actually like started using it on an MR1, and it's not done yet. But like this is my next project. So the fact that a company like Rap 4 is buying up these airsoft third-party parts, modifying them. Maybe it's not fair to say. Maybe it's their own design, but it's very similar to this.
Concept. Similar concept.
R&D, rent and duplicate. Seriously, that's what R&D is. That's what there are people out there that are being paid millions of dollars to rent somebody else's technology, reverse engineer it, change it 30%, and then remarket it.
Yeah.
Like with more planned obsolescence and a shinier name.
So there you go. Like if you ever want and you don't have access to a 3D printer, there's absolutely a market for that, either through Airsoft or through companies that are taking the products to their own level. But there's definitely the availability out there.
It's more accessible than people think, and I think one of those things is that paintballers need to get over their ego and go to the Airsoft pages, see what's being done there, and realize that buying a knockoff Shroud, which is probably going to be lighter, cheaper, and honestly is just going to look the same.
Yep.
Just do it. Yeah, maybe not go play with those guys. I get where that's coming from, but yeah, you can anonymously order from websites. That's
no. I mean, it's been a year now it's been a year almost to the date since I last played Airsoft with you guys.
Oh,
it's ridiculous to think about that, eh? And we fucking walked those guys. They were getting salty.
Every time I play Airsoft now, they always get salty.
It's because that was fucking dope. Like it was like me, Rolo, and Alabaster Slim, and a couple of randoms, and we just fucking did laps around people because they weren't used to people that were able to grab them by their belt, as we like to play. And it was a good day. It was a great. I fucking miss it, man. That's the last time we played together, other than Slim's birthday. Yeah. Is that coming up? Is that a thing this year?
I don't know. I haven't talked with him about it.
We should.
It's normally November, isn't it? Is it November or is it October?
Well, now it's October.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, like when he does the event, is it normally November or October?
November, yeah, his birthday's in November.
Okay.
I'll talk to him about it. We'll see. Anyways.
Cool. Sorry, carry on.
Airsoft, you don't have to play in order to buy the parts. I think there's so much shame around that.
No.
So much stigma.
Shame for it. There's the only shame with Airsoft is the players themselves. They shame themselves with their shitty behavior. Well, come on. Remember how fast was it? How fast after we started beating them did they start walking through their hits?
Same game.
Yeah. By the time we had them down to 50% players, they were already starting to walk through their hits. It was...
Yeah, like, you'll see the same thing with paintballers too, but, like, yeah, you're right. Like, the Airsoft community is that little different, only because you can't call them out after. It's a he said,
but the teammate, that's the best part, is the team, the camaraderie was the same, though. Our teammates, even though, like, they were also walking through their hits profusely. Like, I was watching them bounce off their faces and seeing them do this and just back to it. And it's like, guys, come on. But at the end of the game, it's still the same. Like, they were still, even though they didn't seem to like us much, they were still, great game, guys, great game, way to go, good job. They still had the same. They're very authentic about it. They were still authentic with their congratulations at the end, rather.
Yeah, and I don't want to make it into airsoft versus paintball
Yeah,
conversation because but I think
Save those
getting
for the
back
Facebook
on
groups.
topic. Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
Save it. Yeah, save it for the chats.
But I do want to touch on the fact that to your point, Tyler, that there's a lot of stigma around buying from an airsoft site because those parts are readily available. But if you don't know how to navigate the airsoft world, I've had some trouble with that. Like I'll walk into Toronto Airsoft or something, and they'll look at you funny if you mention paintball at all.
Oh yeah.
So it's on both sides of the fence. Like it's difficult to break into in terms of just swallowing your pride, going on an airsoft site or going into an airsoft store and talking about I just want to modify something or I'm looking for a shell.
Yeah.
And
it's one of those things too, is that like I've been on them, to be frank. Like I did not like airsoft 3 years ago. 3 years ago, airsoft was like all the venom, all that anger, fires and brimstone that you see online. And then a year ago, I kind of got over it more, I would say. Like I started to see their setups, and I got the flip side of it. Me and you were talking in the pre-show. I haven't gone and done it yet, more because of timing than anything. But I do see a lot of the mods, and because I'm getting into the more milsim style for myself, like the building out my kit, I go on there. But one thing that I know kind of messed me up at first was I didn't know what was compatible to bring it over. And reaching out, oh my god, that was not fun. To ask about, hey, what is it that I need for this? And that wasn't very fun. So I kind of I just reached out to some friends that I knew would help me instead. Just PM them, and then they were fine about answering it after. So it was all good. But
Or you guys have.
And again, like within even within the paintball community, if you're going to the custom marker page and PMing someone, 80% of the time they're going to respond and give you some good advice. Or if you just post on the page itself, people will give you some pretty good advice.
100% of the time, yeah.
Yeah,
Just
like from the experienced members.
Don't be vague, I think is my biggest
Even if it is a stupid question. Even if you have a stupid question, people will give you stupid answers, but there will always be somebody who tries to make the most sense of what you just asked.
Yeah.
Always.
But always think through to, like, perfect example is I posted on the Milsig group asking about the new hybrid mags. And I said, this is what I'm asking. This is my experience. I'm kind of curious on this topic. And I kind of initially said, like, I know they're good for first strikes. I know I screwed up in one of the ways I used it already, so I'm going to correct it. But for those that have done it correctly, how do you find it? Because it's one of those things is like preemptively set out the fires when you have a discussion like that.
Yeah, and I would say PM people, if you've seen the work and you really like it, PM them directly, because it's way better. You'll get way better advice and more straightforward, honest advice, as opposed to posting on like a public forum. There's flame wars that go back and forth. People have conflicting advice for you. It can be just as overwhelming and confusing. Yeah. But like I've posted I usually make an album of the process for any of my builds. People will PM me that are like halfway across the world in Germany and stuff, and ask me about my builds, and I just give them honest advice. Like, if you have any questions about how to get started, usually someone who's been experienced in building it themselves will have great advice for you, and they don't mind sharing.
Of course.
And
I find a lot of them, the joy of building is sharing it. I mean, they want the recognition. They want other people to be like, "Hey, nice build. How'd you do that?" Well, Rolo taught me.
Yeah.
It's a huge part of it. The recognition again, and that's what it boils back to, is the recognition, which you've already mustered. People recognize you for these amazing custom builds that you've done. Carrying on. What were we getting into next?
There's one thing I want to
go ahead.
So I'll put out one more thing. Just on that, when you ask for advice, and we kind of said it before, a good example is, Jarvis, you have a limited tool set and work bench. So sometimes
When you're asking for advice, always make sure that they know what you're capable of, and always ask which tools they used.
Yeah.
Because if you just say, how did you do it, and they start rhyming off a bunch of just, hey, do this, and you have no idea where they even started, what are you going to do?
Yeah. And like,
you're going to be right back where you started, just as lost with, okay, well, now I have a list of tools. I don't know what any of them are, what any of them do, and how to use them.
Yeah. And another favorite joke too that it always stuck in my head whenever you ask a modder or someone who does custom work is that sometimes the obvious does get left out. Perfect example, go on a tech website and ask, this is my budget for a gaming PC, and watch people list out the parts and tell me how many people remember to tell you to buy Windows. Like, while there is always the bootleg option, but in general, how many people
no one ever tells you to buy an operating system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
no, it's a very
or RAM is another one people will leave out as well, because it's just like, oh, everybody knows they need RAM, or a hard drive. Everybody knows they need a hard drive.
Yeah.
Solid state at this point is the only way to go.
Exactly.
Which
so
I'm still waiting on.
Little things as through the process. Go ahead, Rollo.
So I was going to say, so as a modder, as someone who's done this for 7 years, going on 7, holy crap, is there's sort of a base set of things that you want to experiment with and have fun with. So going back to those disciplines, obviously, if you've got a lathe, if you've got a 3D printer, good for you. Have fun with it. But what I see is a lot of people getting into modding with is Kansas spray paint, those dip sheets, having fun accessorizing. So just like going to an airsoft site, buying a cool M4 shroud that you can put on like a T15 or M5 or whatever, doesn't matter. And then also a Dremel.
Yeah.
Oh, and this stuff. So JB Weld steel stick or JB Weld plastic weld.
What's that brand name of that stuff? Mighty Putty?
Just JB Weld. That's
JB. Okay, we'll just call it JB Weld. We won't call it Mighty Putty because Billy Mays.
But
come on, those were awesome. They made like little cup handles out of it. I love those commercials.
So epoxy putty is what I'm getting at. Is if you epoxy putty is really good for
an AB putty compound, right?
Yeah, basically something that can stick to any other compound, or if you want to mold it and create like grips or cool features on your markers or masks, whatever you're customizing. That's a really good tool to have. Is just some epoxy putty. So yeah, lots of resources there. Just for people that are getting started, those are some really basic tools that you can go with.
So on that, let's talk about what gear's fun to mod and what's frustrating to mod. So like we've covered markers, but you just kind of mentioned masks. This is such a funny thing to me. I have seen some amazing masks custom done, like not necessarily paint jobs, but like putting on the filters. No, even like the filters. People putting on like the Halloween masks and stuff like that. At what point is fashion more important than function? Personal
breathing,
in personal opinions.
Breathing. If in any way, shape, or form it impedes your breathing, take it the fuck off.
Okay. I think
think about it on the field. You're running around. You start hyperventilating, and you pass out in the middle of the field. Now the whole game has to stop.
Okay,
and you may or may not pass out on the field.
There's degrees of practicality. So
let's also think about the fitness levels of most of the weekend warriors games and these things. Honestly, no, seriously, I'm being honest. Most of them aren't skinny guys, or fit, or necessarily in shape of any kind, other than around. But yes. Sorry, I'm not trying to belittle their work here. No, I'm serious though.
No, stop
if
there.
You can't breathe, seriously, if you can't breathe, don't do it.
Yeah, no. And as I was saying, is like there's different degrees of practicality, right? First being health. If you can't safely play with that gear, what are you doing?
That's another thing people do. They'll mod shit and they won't test it. They'll bring it out to the field, be like, "Yeah, check out my new stuff." They'll run out for 5 seconds. Pretty sure Aztec had this problem with one of his first armor sets, and it just got destroyed by paint. He never tested it against impact.
Oh,
or I think he fell or something, and he just destroyed half of one of his foam arms or something to that effect. I don't remember offhand.
Yeah. So again, first, health is very important. Second to that would be how comfortable you are, and it might not necessarily be a health risk, but if you can't even like walk around properly, yeah, that's an issue. Higher than that, I would say practicality in terms of how fun it is for you. So yeah, one thing with the masks is I always find it really curious how those people can play and sight down their markers, because a lot of the time if you have something that's sticking out this far from your cheek,
actually no, that's a good question, because the gentleman who, and this is a great idea, he had both a modded custom marker and a modded custom mask. The gentleman with the Deadpool gun, the Deadpool M17, he had a risen offset sight so that he could comfortably shoulder his marker. So that's a guy, but that's also, if you look at that build, that's a guy who spent countless meticulous hours fine-tuning that thing, obviously, for himself, his marker and his mask, because he debuted it at 0 hour. And it was
someone in the comments
it was
too.
Amazing. Go ahead.
Like jumped it out too is David Justin Reaper. For those who don't know, he wears a skull on the bottom of his mask. He runs 2 TIPX pistols. His is a good example where he has a set that allows him to look intimidating and authentic, or unique, I would say, and something to focus on the field. But like you had just mentioned, like the look of it, he is running pistols and can not have to worry about lining down his sight. On mine would be, like we said, health. Can you play in what you have on? So if it comes down to visuals, you can't see well enough because you're fogging up or you can't breathe, no, walk off. You're there to play paintball. You're not there to look good for Sheldon taking your photo.
But of course, we really are.
You can be.
You can be.
And we always try to get in front of him. We always try to peacock a little bit. We always over accentuate those unorthodox shooting positions.
Yeah.
We all do it.
And then my second one is when you can't play your game anymore. When you have modded your marker to an extent, or yourself, and you can't play the way you want. So for those who just load up on mags and all of a sudden you can't be a front guy anymore. For those that put on their 20-inch barrel and all of a sudden you're like your little like flagpole at your bunker sticking out because your barrel is just way up there and you can't peek around the sides. Like, match your play style and then work on your aesthetics from there. So
that always goes back to our old handle. We need to get this into a t-shirt. Train the way you play the way you train. Yep. Like, if you're going to mod a marker and you're going to mod all this stuff, practice with it first or don't bother.
Yeah. So 2 things to that.
Sure.
One,
shirt. Go ahead and shoot.
To Mark Sutherland's point, yes, I do snuggle while camping. And
keep me warm.
Yeah. Second of all, winter camping.
Little kisses on the nape, wouldn't you? That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm so happy we can all get sidetracked so quickly. Okay, keep going.
But second to what I was going for was above practicality in terms of having mask features, etc. is if it improves your game. And that is, again, at the top of that gradient. Health being the lowest, you want to keep that as a priority. But if it improves your game, I think that's really, for me, what I enjoy about modification. So, I mean, for example, with this bullpup design, I get a longer barrel. I have a tank in stock, so I can drop it whenever I want. I've got a really compact design, so it's great for CQB. Like, it's everything that I wanted in a CQB marker, which is why I built it.
Yeah.
You might be looking at ergonomics. You might be looking at on top of aesthetic. Does it improve your game? And I think that's something that people leave out a lot. So, I mean, even for intimidation factors with a mask, if it looks super cool, it's functional, and you scare the crap out of your opponent, it's a win.
Yeah. So 2 ones with that. Like, actually,
to go back, and again, another easiest and often forgotten best way to mod your mask is paint. With my Deadpool cosplay, when I would play on the field, all I did was just paint an I-4 with the little black circles and I just painted the whole thing red.
Yeah,
it was just great. No, it was cheap and dirty, and it worked, and it kept the aesthetic, and it matched everything up. And I would wear a red head wrap, so it would kind of cover up the bald. Complete the illusion, rather.
Yeah, and like my Armadillo Dreads are a good example. Like they are an intimidation. They help with bounce, which is great there. The other one too is do not discount confidence boosting with aesthetics. So one thing is that, like you said, I look like a badass. I feel like a badass. I'm going to go onto that field and push myself farther than I may have if I just kind of did whatever. For that. And then Seth has a question in the comments, so I just want to point it out. He asked, what about protective vests like the Airsoft plate carriers?
Plate carrier?
Yeah, I'm sure that adds or decreases how you play. So what do you think about those ones?
Well, we're talking to a bunch of Milsim players who all wear plate carriers anyways for their mags. I mean, yeah, I've stripped down to nothing. Like
the plastic ones, though. Like, you know what, Gary from...
his blade setup.
Yeah, the blade. I think the blade one.
But that comes back to again, comfort, aesthetics, and I've asked him about it, and he just says he likes it. It's like one of those. It's like a stuntman's compression suit. It keeps all of his organs in place, so to speak. Whenever, and he does it adds that massive intimidation factor. This big burly black guy comes over the hill, that gleaming bald head, and that blade armor. No, seriously, he scared the shit out of me a few times. It's Blade, and he is this intimidating, large, and when he lets out a battle cry, it's like, fuck! Or when he's pissed off because somebody's overshot him and starts yelling and screaming, the whole field will clear sometimes. This guy he's intimidating, but he's a good force. And that he is a force multiplier with his that little getup that he wears. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, and I guess... No, to your point, actually. So, I mean, Tyler, you're talking about intimidation factor and being able to feel better playing with your gear, again, is like, up there in terms of what you want to do to customize your stuff. If, you have someone who's a force multiplier who provides that ambiance for the game, like you've got that commander or that sergeant, like Aztec or Slim or Wolf, or someone who's got this personality to them, you want to play with them, you want to push that hill, and so it goes beyond even your ability to push harder, but increases the enjoyability for others around you, and get them to have as much fun as possible.
It helps with the team morale to have, holy shit, we're playing with Alabaster Slim. Oh my god, playing with the Wolf. Like, that gives such a battle advantage. It does give a battle advantage. It's like that the Jedi meditation, right? Just having that Jedi sitting there meditating increases the battle effectiveness of his entire forces, right? So just knowing that they have with the clones, that was a perfect example. The clones knowing, no, this is great. This is in the.
I'm wearing my Star Wars shirt, man.
The clones, of course, exactly. That's not Star Wars. That's a First Order. That's a reboot of a reboot.
Focus, Jarvis. Focus.
Reboot of a rebooted franchise, rather. Focusing on the clones. It was a huge thing that when they had clone sergeants and clone generals, they didn't perform half as well as when they had a Jedi with them. Not just because the Jedi were good fighters, but because having this unstoppable force, both intimidating their enemies, these fucking space wizards with laser swords, coming at your little whatever they were, these roach people, the Geonosians, or the droids. Obviously, the B1 battle droids were actually made for assembly line work. They weren't meant to be battle droids, which is why they had a glitch in their software, which caused them to speak and be erratic, which is how they wrote off all that campy nonsense into canon. Fuck you, George Lucas.
Okay. Segue now. One is to Seth in the comments.
Segue. That was my mic drop.
Because Seth just he posted paste again. So send the TTP page a message of a picture of what you're talking about, because I couldn't Google search it that way and figure it out. On plate carriers, though, I do want to talk about this one because we see a lot of MagFed players, plate carriers, bandoliers, battle belts. Like Mark's even an example of that, or Alabaster Slim, where he wore a bandolier. Everyone was inspired to do it.
He wasn't the first.
I know he wasn't the first. I know, but he was the celebrity. He was the internet celebrity to do it.
No, No, Zach, actually, at the time, him and Zach had the same level of likes and followers. It just happened that he was the one he's the one who got bigger faster.
Yeah.
And continued to.
Yeah.
Well, so, Zach made his videos.
Zach, okay.
No, the difference is that Zach made. I'm not jerking him off. Zach made his videos for his own viewing pleasure, and Mark made his for ours.
Mark corrected. For everyone who ever complains, he said it. Zach started it, and everyone on Vice jumped on.
Did I just say that?
I know he did. I'm just saying he.
Everybody else too. I know. I jumped on board. I know. I've drawn blanks, but I know at least 6 or 7 other people that showed up with different bandoliers.
Yeah.
So again,
can I go really quick?
Go ahead.
For plate carriers, though, because people go and buy them and they don't understand what they're buying. I have a good example. Mine is a medium plate carrier. I do have Moley on my sides to give me some more room, but I have now found it's too heavy. And I want to move to a Scout where it's just the front, just the back, and the straps on the side. I don't want Moley here because I don't need it. I'm not using it. So I went for the medium, and I see people, they come out and they just have like, oh, I have all this like retail, but then you can't move. So like Jarvis wants to make a patch or make a shirt for, which will bug people about later. Play the way you train the way you play, is go to the store, try it on, think about what you really want, and then take it from there.
If only
go
they
ahead,
had
Rolo, and then I'm going to pull some comments from the chat.
Sure. So you were talking about practicality of gear, and I guess we're sort of segueing into the next topic, which was red dots. But I don't know if you want to leave that for the next conversation.
Let me go to.
Are you guys reading from a different script? Nobody sent me that one. Red dots.
Oh yeah.
No, we were talking about customizing gear and how red dots.
Oh, was this before? Before the show, I had some technical difficulties. I guess I missed all this. Yeah.
So
they started talking without me.
So Seth has a good one that I do want to bring up again. So he, his comment was, I can argue that communication gear is one hell of a force multiplier. The best example would be the Navajo code talkers.
Navajo code talkers.
Sorry,
wind talkers.
Using a radio. Yes, that is I'm pushing my game. I want to be more true. I want to use a headset. But this summer, I took it to heart. I made sure that I tried to run my radio every game if I had friends that were there with me, and I did notice a huge difference. So that's a really great example. Rolly, you had mentioned it earlier, adding a piece of gear that elevates your game instead of just makes it feel aesthetic. Like when you're walking around with a headset, yeah, cool, you feel awesome at the field, but yeah, it makes a huge difference, and that's a perfect example of a step most people won't take, but when they do, they realize the true advantage of it.
To Seth's defense, I know for a fact the Forlorn Hope, like their one of their claims to fame is that they bring encrypted radios that they have to program with a computer, like military grade shit. It's because they're all squawk heads anyways. Yeah. So they're all signals.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I like how we've moved from we've got customized markers. You can make yourself look badass that way. Down to practical gear, from vests to masks to radios. Like, there's a lot of, I guess, I want to say moddable, customizable gear that you can just buy third party, and it will actually really improve your game. So,
100%.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to practicality in that sense. Like, you want something that can improve your game. And then also maybe makes you feel like a badass. Like, I've seen a lot of people wearing Ear Pro, and it surprises me because
Ear Pro,
like ear protection.
Oh,
okay. Yeah.
So
this is some new product I haven't heard of yet. Ear Pro.
Yeah. So I mean, like, you got this kind of
impacts.
I've
never like the impact, like the head that. These things for your paintball and your speaking, microphone headphones, right? Or walkie-talkie headsets, the whole nine.
Because they actually help. They actually increase hearing, don't they?
These ones do. They actually have like a built-in microphone right there, so you can actually adjust the sensitivity of the mic. But yeah, it's one of those things where I'm not sure if it's practical. Maybe it is. It provides a little more protection for your ears if you get shot in the side of your head. But it also looks badass. So, do what you want.
Well, actually, here, before we do move on to red dots, here's a really good question then, because here's something that adds a level of safety but makes it easier for you to get out, and it can be considered an aesthetic thing. Helmets. Because you have now put a harder object than even your skull on your head, and more likely to get breaks, but headshots don't hurt. The fear of the first strike multiplier giving you a concussion is gone. So something like that. And I know it's going to be a personal take, but what is your thought on it?
I've worn helmets before. Remember the zombie game?
Alabaster Slim used to wear a helmet. Fun fact.
He started. Yeah. His old army one.
I still have one of the SWAT helmets from CQB actually. So I think it's just one of those things where you're sacrificing a little bit of practicality in terms of gameplay versus, you know, if you feel more protected, more safe. Same thing goes for vests or even shemahs or you know, like neck wraps. Like those are things that you feel safer with. Armadillos even too. You know, if you feel safer wearing that, it makes you look cooler. It's up to you. Like there's always a balance between aesthetic versus practicality when it comes to playing, I think, because you're carrying around a lot of gear. Yeah. Like at least 20 pounds whenever you play. Some people pare it down, but you know, it's a lot. So I don't know. And when it comes to helmets, to your point, I think that's very personal preference.
Well, even like in the comments, it kind of shows. So Alabaster Slim Mark is commenting, and he said like he used to wear one, but he used to get shot in the head all the time when he had one. So it's kind of like that joke where I wear it because I get shot in the head, but then when I'm wearing one, I get shot in the head more often. My Shemagh, as the example, I always tell this story. I wore it to a Wasaga Beach player appreciation. It was 4 years ago that I started wearing one, and my buddy was like, why? Like, oh, like you're whatever, like you think you're cool and stuff. And I'm like, no, like I get shot in the neck a lot. Just it's a play area that I notice. We walk off and he's like, oh, and then he goes, oh, wait a second, and he pulls out a complete paintball out of my neck and like Shemagh, and I'm like, and that's why I wear it. I hate playing without it, no matter the heat. David Justin Reaper, he loves his helmet. He runs his. He's also a celebrity player, so people will shoot at him more often than not. So I think that's a great one. And then Brett had a great comment too, because we didn't mention it, but he tried wearing a helmet this summer and he found that the heat was too much, so he ditched it.
Oh,
so,
for sure.
Like we said,
the humidity inside of those things is disgusting.
Fogging is always an issue too.
Yep. It redirects all the heat from your head straight down into your mask.
Yeah. And then here's another great one. Before we move on to what you just put on, Jarvis, is Mark again making his comment. He wears the towel in front of him to cover his balls. Yeah. It doesn't look pretty,
the
but it works.
Golf towel.
Tactical golf towel.
Whatever works for you. Whatever works for you.
The tactical golf towel. Yeah. It's beautiful.
So
why is that so funny? Why are you muted? Look at him go.
I don't know.
Look at him I don't know, but
that was...
Quit picking your nose.
I think it was like part of the thing was I just pictured Mark going onto a golf course and just taking one from like one of like the
and just stitching it to his crotch.
Like, hey, it comes with clips and everything. This is amazing.
Yeah, you know what? That's the thing too, though, is that it's like jocks, right? You need it until you don't need it until you need it, and when you need it, you don't have it.
Yep.
You know, and it always ends up that way. It's like the one time, shit, I forgot my whack. Oh.
Yep.
And that's the game. Jarvis is down. Oh, and then back to Shemaghs and stuff. Yeah. My favorite covering is this bad boy here. For those of you who can't see and are only listening, yeah, it's one of the multi-wraps, which I actually found it. I didn't realize they sell for fucking $60 at sale almost.
What?
Yeah, but they come in like 1,000 different patterns. But it's the exact same thing. It's the exact same material. It's basically a sleeve, and yeah, they charge almost $60 for it. It's phenomenal.
Wow.
Yeah,
I must have gotten mine for it like tops $20 with tax.
Yep. Yeah, these Condor ones are phenomenal. I even have. I got one. Actually, I got one as a free door prize from one of those Tough Mudder type thingies. Oh, go get it.
Yeah.
Oh, show them the Vice multi-wraps. What is this? Okay, so Alabaster Mark just commented. Apparently, they have stuff that they didn't. I don't see this. Look at him digging through.
Jarvis is about to get jealous quickly.
No, I'm already jealous. You kidding me?
Actually, we have to really make that patch then.
Never.
So actually, throw this in the comments. Who would like a patch that says "Play the way you train, train the way you play," or vice versa, whichever we decide to go with? Because I actually do like that idea.
I'm sure we can always talk to Jesse and get something done up with, or even any graphic designers.
Yeah.
So,
all right, I'm gonna flip you to full screen here for this.
Suggestions. Oh, full screen.
Yeah.
All right.
So speaking of, Mark had a good point. So Vice has actually got these brand new multi-wraps floral pattern.
That's great.
So we've got different colors. There's like a red one. There's a green one. So again, another part of gear that you can customize down to just your neck protection. It's great. And these were, again, I think I got
that. As Vice's biggest fanboy, I need that. I need that.
Actually, I want to ask a question on this one. Because you guys wear the floral patterns, I know it is your thumb, like you're thumbing the community who
thumbing. Who
always
said
go
that? Thumbing.
It's an old term.
I said that.
Anyways, like when you're thumbing like those that like take it too seriously, but wearing that gear, do you get a boost, like a confidence booster when you kind of wear the flower print and you know you're on that team? Like, is that something that like could drive you? Like just like I said, like on the topic.
I think that's a question for a lot of the people that play with us.
Yeah,
right there.
Okay, so,
there's one.
So if I may interject, as
fanboy
a
for 500,
who one day, fanboy for 500, as the one fanboy who was allowed to patch up with Vice for a day, I can honestly say wearing that patch gave me like an extra shot of adrenaline I've never felt in my entire life. That was just I have no idea. I can't explain it. It just yeah.
And to Mark's point, it's one of those things where we wear these bright colored shirts, we target ourselves. You know, there's a huge target on us. But there's a lot of prestige that goes with wearing that shirt, and we're all very proud of it. So for us, of course, you know, it's a huge boost, especially when there's more of us. It's like multiplying the factor of the number of Vice players that are on the field. We enjoy it so much more.
For every Hawaiian shirt, you better have 6 or 7 guys who don't. Like, and when 12 Vice show up, well, you better have a bigger team. Because
oh my God,
then it becomes
that happened.
It's happened a few times.
With Sega
4 years ago.
No. The last time the whole crew was together was Honey Badger 1. We even got Matt Coffee out.
Yeah, that was like 4 years ago.
That was so fun. They're on Honey Badger 5.
Yeah,
5 years ago.
Okay, fine. 5 years ago.
Like,
proving my point even more.
October 10th. I know, but still, like, that's how long ago the entire crew was together, and that was pretty much everything. I think the only one who didn't show up was.
Yeah, I think we were all there.
Yeah, everybody was there. The whole Black Vice crew was there too. That was. Yeah, those were days. Those were days, weren't they?
So here's another question for you. Before, like, after this, we'll move on to the red dot bareback discussion.
Bareback, what?
It'll come up. Stickers, and specifically stickers on your lenses or even GoPros. You're starting to see it more, especially the GoPro
like,
thing.
Advertising or
no, like a logo. Like there's
like
one of the guys.
What's his tits? Sheldon has, or not Sheldon. Mark used to have Sheldon's. Logo on his visor, and I think his son still has it
in the peripheral here. And I've seen there's one guy who runs pistols normally, and he's got like a dragon like over the side there.
Oh, or you know the biggest guy we all know, fucking Yeti with his Yeti mask, where it's scratched to hell. He can't see. It fogs up after 30 seconds, and yet he's still standing there in the middle of all the gunfire holding a flag. This stoic creature with a Yeti mask in the middle of fucking the forest. I miss those days.
Is that a sticker, though? Is that
it's a lens. It's a decal of a lens that he had done,
it's like where the lenses where like they put little
times.
dots in it that you can technically see beyond, but you can't really. So
it's like those on the bus decals. You know, on the bus, how on the outside it looks like the DEF CON logo, for example, and then when you're on the inside, you can see through and see all the people. Look, but they can't see you. They can't see you on the bus.
So
you don't feel shame.
So that's something to me. Like that's like it's super cool. It looks amazing, but I can't do it. Like I get freaked out enough when like where was it? I'm slightly claustrophobic, and I went to the Butterfly Museum, and so much shit going by the peripherals, I was going nuts. from years of paintball and always looking out of the corner of my eye. I'm like, I'm out. I cannot do this. But so moving on to the discussion, because me and Rolo have had this discussion, like at 2 a.m. the night before with Sega.
Yep.
2-3 years ago. Lots of these had happened. Red dot scope versus bareback. Nothing on your marker.
Sega was that?
That was the one that you didn't go to. That was the first one you didn't go to.
Social Divergence.
Social Divergence, the first one.
Yeah.
2 years ago. Yeah,
I think I would have. No, I definitely didn't. Social Divergence was the one with the. They recalled the patch because they sent a.
Yeah.
Yes.
They sent a maybe. Yep. They sent a. This is our idea. As a final design. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the fun one. But yeah, so. What do you think? So, first off, I'm a bareback player. I will not use a red dot. I will not use a scope. I have tried, and I can't unless I truly focus on a first strike setup.
That's why you got so many
kids. I don't think I can do it. It's very true. So going around the stream, Jarvis.
I like one rear flip up sight in the middle of my gun, just like an old fashioned mortar. I much prefer that because we are shooting on an arc, and having 2 points of aiming in a straight line is counterproductive for a dropping a projectile.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to always lob. Go ahead.
There's I mean, for me, I know a lot about windage and elevation because I use a scope.
A lot of it? How much do you know?
Okay,
like bullet drop, rough timing based on weight of the ball.
Yeah,
spin,
I mean, like the
trajectory,
the spin of
air
the
speed,
versus,
Coriolis effect.
Coriolis effect, yeah.
There you go.
So
easy there, Mark Wahlberg.
Fair not to say that I know a lot, but I do know enough that if I'm zeroing in at a specific distance in terms of elevation versus windage, if I'm shooting, and there's a bit of wind, then I know to compensate a little bit if someone's running forward, basics, I guess. Point being, if I'm applying that theory and knowledge while using a red dot, that is just as complex as someone who's using front post only or bareback, nothing on. Again, it's paintball. It's not a bullet. It's the trajectories and the I guess trigonomics of it are completely different.
Yeah.
Right. So when we're talking about ballistics, I know actually someone who would be really good to talk about this is Hedgehog, Hidden Hedgehog.
Yeah. But that's someone too who like he does sniping, and that is his playstyle, that is his everything. And
we touched base on it with Gallagher a little bit because he did when he was into it, he like everything he does went full retard and just okay. Go ahead, Gallagher, the other guy stepping away. Gallagher went full balls deep into it, and he became one of the most prolific snipers that was out there. That's because he waited. No, it wasn't Gallagher. Who is the gentleman who weighs all of his, reweighs, and then clays all of his first strikes so that they're all equal weighted and equally balanced?
Libra?
Gary. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I don't know.
Not Gary. God damn it. I have him. He's an SAS member. And everybody's always been mad at him, but he's always been a really far back player. But he has his trajectory and the trigonometry of first strikes down to a science to where all of his first strikes are weighed and then color coded based on weight, so that he knows how the bullet will drop, or rather how the. Oh, I thought you just changed it. It looked like you were wearing a Kangol for a second there. I don't know why. Anyways, he just knew that if it was an 8-ounce round over a 7-ounce round, that it would drop at an extra half a second per 100 yards. And he would always compensate for that. Each one of his mags had different weighted first strikes in them, and they were all sorted and balanced. And he was so fucking meticulous about it.
Who is this?
I can't remember. He's a member of SAS. His name is Gary, I believe.
So you've got two sort of ends of a spectrum in terms of instinct shooting, which like bareback, not just feeling it out, versus measured shots and taking the ballistics into account to a whole nother level. And I think it really depends on the kind of player you are. If you're up there, if you're doing a lot of snap shooting, if you play speedball, if you've got that aggressive style.
Snap shooting is almost entire instinct. Like you can't aim
it is.
When you're
it's very much instinct. And I will absolutely agree with the fact that you can snap shoot with a red dot, you can snap shoot with a
100%.
scope, but it is a split second longer because you're sighting in versus instinctually shooting, and being able to differentiate between the two and actually instinctually shoot even when you do have a red dot versus actually scoping in with a red dot, again, are two different schools, two different skills that
I can learn. I can definitely. I remember. Oh, this is vivid. My very first time playing paintball with a group of people. I was like 11 or 12, and it was a outlaw game at someone's cottage, and I had been shooting several times in the past with red dot, with open sight, and I had this pick. I had never really shot a paintball gun. I had no idea of the trajectory of the ballistics at all, and I was like, yeah, just put a red dot on it. Give me like 3 shots, and I can make this work. Because I'm very good at finding my zero even without adjusting the sights. And yeah, sure enough, I ate a ton of crow, as one does when they're a cocky 13-year-old. Fifth shot though, in my defense, fifth shot I did hit the water bottle, but I did have to take a firing squad for it. Yeah, but that's what it comes down to, is that even though it comes back to knowing the trajectory of the rounds, and you always have to aim down.
Yeah. And the other one too is that, like, for the player that starts, like in your example, like the new guy, if you the first thing first, if you use a red dot and you use a scope, take the time, learn how it works, understand how to actually sight it in, what the variables when you sight it in need to be so that it's consistent later on. I never did it. I never had an interest to do it. Part of my problem with them. The next one is that a red dot, I feel that there's 2 learning curves with one. Start 2 players off, one who uses his red dot, understands it, and then the guy who does the bareback, that the player with the red dot initially has an advantage. I will always agree with that for that first, let's say, couple times playing. After the first couple times, when you actually start to see so many if and or buts and so many variables, that because you're barebacking, you always have to try and guesstimate what that close range shot, mid range, and long range shot is. Then the red dot player has a handicap because they assume where the shot is, and then they need to correct. And
crazy. Sorry, it's been sitting in the back of my head ever since you started saying bareback.
Yeah, okay. No, it's a fun topic. So then
bareback's always a fun topic.
It is a fun topic.
Hey, did you guys hear that Playboy is doing their very first transgendered model? Yeah, speaking of bareback.
Thank you, Google.
You're welcome. No, it wasn't Google. It's Poogle. Lack of the wealth of useless knowledge that is my brain.
And then scopes. So I feel that scopes have the biggest learning curve, easiest room for error, but once you zone in on them, a really great example is a player that me and Jarvis have played with a bunch, Shaky, who plays for Andy.
Your best example.
For Milsig, he plays for...
There are a lot of good examples. There's a lot of gentlemen that do scope cameras. Like I remember a gentleman who actually set up a Sony CyberShot with a plumbing fitting, so it would actually suction in and it wouldn't get any paint on the lens, and he set it all up on his scope, and he recorded everything. It was before the GoPros and all that jazz.
But he's a player where his playstyle has always been the back player, the sniper, the marksman, and he's picked up his SAR, and he is just always deadly with it. And that's the thing, is like, he is that player. A person who I know that hasn't done it well, or maybe gets too frustrated, I think maybe the better word is Docs from Magfed Militia. He is good with it, but once he gets frustrated or it doesn't start working because he's not accounting for his variables right, just shuts down for the day. And that's when you rely on specific gear to work. Don't. Like, always have a backup plan of some sort. And Roll, I feel like you want to jump on this, so go ahead.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've got a lot to say. In the words of Thatcher from Rainbow Six, it's fucking laser sights.
It's fucking laser sights. Fucking laser sights, mate.
You know, the more crutches you have, the harder you fall.
Christmas trees.
Yeah.
The bigger the Christmas tree you're dragging around, the more you drop when you go down.
And it's very fair. I mean,
it doesn't matter what you carry. Everybody drops everything when they die.
Fair point. But
that was a really that's not what I was actually originally going with, but
it works now.
We just got like really existential nihilistic here. So.
Okay, that's what's stuck in my head now.
So, point being, you know, it depends on your playstyle. If you are a back player, you know, you're gonna want to experiment, use a scope. If you're an aggressive player, you're probably going to use a front post, or you're not going to use anything on your sights, or no sights whatsoever. For me, I guess, you know, I like to take measured shots. I don't like to take that chance of missing a first shot. So I enjoy using a red dot, but that also means that I can't take snapshots as quickly as some of the other people I'm playing with. Maybe like a mid-range mid to short range, depending.
Yeah.
You know? So, again, it's all down to playstyle, all down to your shooter's theory, what you enjoy getting out of that. If you like to be really technical, if you like to just, you know, mess up a bunch of guys on the field, or, you know,
the other
whatever.
The other one, too, on that, like when you mentioned the snap shooting and mid-range, I thought back to our conversation at Wasaga. And the other part, too, is what fields do you play? So if you're talking about shooting somebody through a window, red dot's probably going to have a little bit of an easier time because it's a little bit of a smaller margin of error. If you have guys who are sticking, like they're kneeling down, they're sticking out of a bunker or standing up, or you're playing more in the woods, a little bit more of instinct shooting can help there because it's not like a true structured building. But that is something that, like, where do you play? Are you playing in CQC? Are you playing where a field goes from long range to close range to long range again? Because players will have advantages in different points. I do have actually one question too. Do you find CQC harder or fields with multiple elevation harder as a red dot user?
Well, CQC doesn't matter because it's just kind of like pointed at their belly. And
but I mean, like for snap shooting, like do you find that snap shooting is harder to try and like compensate for timing, or when you have to deal with multiple elevations? So, well, let's use CQC as the example. Second stories versus the first floor, shooting from the first or from the bottom up to the second story. Is that harder, or is trying to get in a snapshot battle?
That's okay. Now you're asking firing from a lowered firing position. Is that a tactical advantage or not? And of course, shooting from an elevated position is always the tactical advantage.
Compensating though with the red dot.
Oh, drop! You're talking about bullet drop,
the compensation.
Okay,
and, like adjusting your play.
Compensating for round drop edge. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's a really tough question. I mean,
because it doesn't matter, because every round is different, right? Because you can also it depends on your barrel, it depends on the spin of your ball. Because if you've got a backspin, you've got one of those old flatline barrels. It doesn't matter because it needs a certain distance before that backspin actually takes effect.
Yeah.
So. To your point, I mean, if you've got a field that is more woods bally, or is more CQB or CQC, you know, you get different styles of people that come to play, and they have certain strengths in certain areas of the field. I think it's really rare to have a field that is only one range, right? You know, you'll get parts that have little villages surrounded by woods. So you can have long ranges. It could be any field.
Mm-hmm. Lots of fields have villages surrounded by woods.
Yeah, and
Section
even
7.
You can look at PRZ. You know, you have those CQC elements in really tight building quarters, or you know, from hut to hut or whatever, and then you've got more woods bally fields that surround it. And you can enjoy playing long ball or you can get up really close and be aggressive. It doesn't matter. So I think it's sort of a moot point. If you're going out to play in whatever style you enjoy, you'll find some part of the field, hopefully. Yeah, exactly. Play the way you train the way you play.
Yeah. Train the way you play. Seriously. Well, I remember back in the days with CQB when there was what was the actual name of the field? CQB, Tactical Training and Paintball. Right, and I remember there's several. I think if you go back to the old CQB Facebook page, there's videos of Goonie training days when the Goonies would go onto that field, no mask, no mag, and do full train for that field.
Yeah, like you can take your theory to stop it. You can take your training to any level. If you want to play with a scope or without a scope, they're perfectly legitimate ways of playing. It's just it depends on what you prefer and what you want to get good at, right?
I think like it really does recap on what we said before. Jarvis's favorite tagline is that make sure that your gear and what you use matches how you want to play and play that way. Do not think that a piece of gear is needed to change how you want to do stuff. To bring it back to the marker setup is really long shrouds. Really common right now. Huge things. I have my little shroud on my M5, and even if I were to ever build a sniper setup and I wanted to use a
shroud is no longer the correct term for that.
Okay. The holder peg, like the legs to hold up a marker when you're shooting it from the ground.
Bipod.
Thank you. If I were to even use
bipod,
monopod,
tripod,
bipod, yes. If I were to use one of those, I would try and keep a short shroud because the unwieldiness that happens from those, I don't think I could deal with it.
Mm-hmm. I had a point to this. So when I first started getting into milsim, I wanted to be just as lethal, and I'm gonna put air quotes around lethal, as a speedball player. Lasers.
Fucking lasers. Fucking laser sights.
And I wanted to be just as effective as a speedball player because I would go to CQB and I would see these guys using burst or full auto and just wrecking. Mm-hmm. But they're not shooting with the scope. Mm-hmm. They're not shooting with a full milsim like shroud or handguard, whatever you want to call it, on their markers. They're just a barrel, a trigger, and an air tank, and of course a hopper.
Handguard, or RIS.
Well, the right.
So, point being, I struggled with this a lot because speedball guns are designed to be as light and as effective as possible, to shoot as many balls, to be as efficient as possible, to have as long an efficient a barrel as possible, or accurate a barrel as possible. And seeing that transition from having a really efficient marker to an aesthetic marker that looks really cool, but is also able to compete with a speedballer, was something that I really struggled with. And I think the solution that I came to was the fact that I don't want something like a really long, heavy RIS. I don't want a setup that will weigh me down completely. I still want it to look cool. I still want to be able to, feel tactical, do my milsim thing, but also have a really efficient setup that, isn't limited by number of rounds, by air limitations, by, accuracy of barrel. If you've got a really short barrel on like a CQC setup and you're going to a woodsball game, what are you doing, right? So these are all things to consider when you're doing a setup. And I think it's actually even more important for milsim players to recognize practicality in their gear, because if you're if you're applying all of these cool like airsoft military tactics to paintball, they don't necessarily work. And you have to find that loadout that works for you, that you're still versatile, you're still having fun, you're still, making some kind of force multiplier, some kind of difference in the game instead of just looking cool, right?
So
that's what it's all about, though. You've got to be tactical. If you can't be tactical, what's the point of even coming out? I mean, you got to look cool, Billy.
And point being, I've got this really cool marker. It's 15, but this stock has nothing to do with how well I play.
Huh? Sorry, you were speaking? I couldn't quite. Yeah. What? What do you?
There you go. You get the full look. Point being, though, like this is a fully customized marker. Oh,
in my pants. I think it's gorgeous. Okay, so for those of you playing the home game and can't see, Rolo just held up a T15 with it basically looks like an RCP-90 T15 mod. What are the parts that are on that gun? Because let's go all the way back to the beginning of the show with gun mods and parts. What the shit did you just show us?
Okay.
Oh my god! Why did I show it to them? I got to talk about it. Oh.
Turning into it's just become like a show and tell. Okay, so we've got.
Of course, the show. Why do you think we brought you on? It wasn't for your fucking looks, Billy. Yeah.
Daniel Defense.
Hold on,
416 Shroud.
You're on.
Lapco. I want to say 12-inch barrel. Big Shot 12-inch barrel. AFG angle foregrip, just from the standard angled foregrip. Half-inch riser? Yeah, half-inch riser. Tasco red dot. Moving back, you've got this beautiful Hera CQR stock, which has been heavily modified. So the CQR stock runs this entire pistol grip. It actually screws in right where the pistol grip would be, and then it connects to. Oh, sorry, I'll show the full thing. Connects to the tank in stock, which is a MATS or RAP4 stock that I've cut and glued onto the actual CQR Hera stock. And it's a 10 CI.
I just got told not to come play paintball.
Oh.
Because the people that are going are inexperienced. Oh, Jordan McMurray, you make me sad.
Fun times.
So that's my T15.
No more bad boys tomorrow.
I think you just wanted to know in terms of mods and marker setup. Like that is a fully custom build. That's airsoft part upon. Actually, sorry, real steel parts, airsoft parts, paintball third-party parts. It's everything. So you can grab from any of those pools of products and mash something together and you get something cool. But as long as it doesn't affect your gameplay.
It always comes back to as long as it doesn't fuck up your shit.
Yeah. And again, like even with the TIPX P90 setup, like I've got.
What are you doing tomorrow, Rolo? Would you like to go play paintball?
What am I doing tomorrow?
Nothing.
I'm
going to kidnap you. I know exactly where you live, Mr. Beep Street in Toronto. I almost said it. I was this close to saying your address out loud on the air.
Yeah, please don't.
Close. Mr. I live in a motel. It's not a motel. That's my balcony.
Yeah,
it's a motel. He lives in a seedy motel somewhere in, let's say, Etobicoke, south end of Etobicoke, over by the Bluffs. Yeah. That old sleazy. Oh fuck. I remember when I was a kid, there was an area of Etobicoke that was like a strip of motels and fucking whores. Nothing but hookers and motels. And now it is all high-rise condos that are worth millions of dollars. I love gentrification.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Sorry, I forgot my train of thought. So,
hookers and blow?
P90 setup. So even with this, like it's a pistol, but it's got its own air supply. Dink dink. And it still takes mags, and it's got a nice I can put whatever barrel I want on it. But it doesn't affect my gameplay, and if anything, it improves it because I have a built-in air supply. I don't have to change out CO2. I don't have a remote line running from this thing. I can put my mags in whatever I want, extended, Tempest, standard 7 rounds. Like, it doesn't matter, but my setup's still practical to me. I just want to do a time check with Tyler because we're at 10 after 10.
Yeah, we're gonna go probably just for a little bit more, finish up this topic, and then wrap it up. So, one thing I did want to bring up, just that's one of the reasons I ran away really quick, was so you had a very customized one. My current marker of choice is, at first I would say not very customized, but then it is. And one of the reasons I want to talk about is that I had plans for this, and then I changed it. So I have the M5.
Nice.
So it's missing it on the back, but it does have an HCS stock on it with the little remote line set up right now. So the first thing is that this was my go-to to begin with, is that I did want the option for remote line or tank. Then moving into here, well, at the top, of course, nothing other than my nice little Jester clip there. But the story I wanted to tell was right here, is that this is comfortable enough that I'm not using a foregrip on it. But before this marker, I was using a Didam, and I went with a angled foregrip that the Didam comes with initially. I hated this marker for the first 2 times I took it out. I had come from an M17 where I had the I forget the exactly term of it, but the ergo grip where it was came right down like this on it. I put that on my Didam, and then I fell in love with it again because I could keep it tighter onto my body. But with this marker, is I have found it comfortable enough. It's actually just a TPX barrel in here with the Mach suppressor.
Same
now, so there's actually a problem with that. You have to be very careful because the threading on the TPX barrels is very different than the threading on the actual Milsig thread block. There's slight, like, look, I can see the stripping even. I can even see the stripping to your threads. You've got to be really careful not to over tighten that, or you'll fuck up your gun.
Which actually helps with the Mach suppressor because it technically doesn't tighten in all the way. The Mach suppressor will catch the edge of it. But this marker, this is what I was talking about before.
Saved by a technicality.
I don't want to go longer than this. I actually like the shroud like this. This marker didn't need a lot of customization, and I got what I want out of it. The HCS, I think, is the biggest part of that because I can move the stock as needed to the size that I want versus trying to put like a peanut tank on a marker or playing with 48 inches or 48 tanks.
48 inches of hard black steel.
There you go. Or other things. So, like you said,
that's right. I said it.
Enjoy what you use, and make sure that
use what you enjoy.
What you say? Enjoy.
Enjoy what you use and use what you enjoy.
There you go. So yeah. Is there any other topics you guys wanted to cover? Because like Rollo said, we are getting to that hour 40 mark.
So it's Saturday night. Do you have your wife there tonight?
No, but if I have to put this onto a recording later, people are going to dip out by this point. So.
No, that's not true at all. Because I know for a fact that people will listen to it in their cars on their way to work, and then they wait till they get in their car again. Because a lot of cars and phones have a auto continue when you reconnect with your Bluetooth. So don't ever count out the long draw format of this, because people love to listen to us talk, especially when we get into the late topics and people start queuing in. Finally, they get comfortable and start actually commenting.
I think actually past that because we haven't gotten many comments. So that being said, if you guys have any questions or comments for any of the 3 people on the stream, definitely go ahead and ask. Or if you want to see us to get into a random rage fight over the conversation as well, post a topic like that too. Because Jarvis can be triggered.
Fight.
Jarvis can be triggered.
I cannot be triggered. I can only be triggered by not homosexuality, homophobia.
Wow, you had to finish that sentence to make it not bad.
Only the gays trigger me. I mean, hatred thereof. Only hating the gays triggers me. No. I only get triggered by cheating. That one. That's my only in-game trigger, and that's always been my only in-game trigger. Is people who like wantonly cheat and try to get away with it.
Rollo, what's your paintball trigger?
That, to be honest, I again, homophobia. I've had that a lot. Especially when someone calls me fucking gay.
Oh, I fucking hate that. You fucking faggot. Oh.
It makes me want to unload my trigger. Like, just full blast on them. But
one word, that one 6-letter word that they don't even know what it really means comes out of their fucking mouth, and I just want to shove every one of those letters back down their throat.
Yeah. For me, I don't get offended very easily. Like, if someone bunkers me and full autos me, or does something, I'm alright with that. It's totally part of the game. It's just it's when players are disrespectful to other players in any sense. I think that really gets me off. Like,
it gets you off, does it?
Wrong choice of words.
Sorry. Phrasing.
But
it really sets you off.
It sets me off, and
I'll get you off, baby.
Oh my,
Rolo. That soft Filipino voice just did something for me.
You can see him shaking his
we have a trope, and somebody is definitely the wild card on the show. So
that brown-eyed boy with those supple lips. Supple.
I have to start using a program that I can mute you individually.
Aren't you engaged?
Hey. She's already agreed. I get one guy, it's you.
Really? I would have assumed it was Mark.
No. Rolo's my little cuddle buddy. I would cuddle with Rolo well before Mark. Mark and I go for lunch dates. Rolo and I go for love.
Do we have any actual questions?
Not yet. I'll go with mine, though. The two that drive me nuts is if people, in general, accuse a good move of cheating. That's like respect the hit, respect the move. Like there was... Yeah, like one of the great examples of that was I played a game at Sector. I got way overconfident. I got shot fairly quickly because I stood out way too long. I just walked away, and it was like a barely, like, the paint technically it broke, but it wasn't like a splatter because it broke and it spun away. But I was like, nope, I'm gonna respect it because I was an idiot there, and I think that's my big one, is that people who won't respect. And the other one too is that don't force your values on other people. So in the MegFed community, it's very common to call a hit
unless your values are fair play. Always force those values.
Yeah, so let's use this as an example though. In MegFed, it's very common to respect a hit even if it doesn't break, but the technical rule is if it breaks and it leaves a large enough like non-splatter mark, you are out. Do not force someone to play to the first unwritten rule standard, because one, they either might not be aware, or two, it technically doesn't count. A good example of that, me and Jarvis had a one-on-one. I shot him. I had an official break. I officially knocked him out. He hit me. It bounced, and I stayed in. Afterwards, I wish I had walked off because it was a good shot.
No, it was fair. No. It was a very good, fair shot. That was a good trade.
And
we both tagged each other. His broke, mine didn't.
Yeah, and that's the one I always go to in my mind, where it's like, this was a mutual respect. It was a mutual hit, but I had a technicality on my side. It became a
in other words, he feels guilty for getting lucky.
Okay, so I'm gonna take this to mercy rules because.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes.
And this is like, we could spend an entire show on this topic in itself because Peter just wants to keep talking.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is his Saturday night out is on the internet. This is how Jarvis gets, this is where drinking buddies are for
10 o'clock and we're all at home, so don't fucking rip on me.
I won't comment there.
I'm
in a motel.
Yeah, clearly. So.
But you can take that to mercy rules as well, because not all fields have a mercy rule, and it's one of those things where it can be a take it or don't, and if you don't, sometimes you're considered a dick.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Oh, how many times have we both been called dicks or idiots or assholes or jerks or losers or punks or blah 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 because we fucked people up and didn't take a mercy.
So that's a product of CQB, because CQB did not have a mercy rule, and so
it trained us to be better and faster reactive when it came to that word. That one word was a trigger to just kill, fucking kill. And a prime example was when I had that little tiny strap rig, the multi. When I went to multi commando, and I had a T8.1 on a cross draw on my belly. And that was my mercy gun. When people would come up behind me and mercy me, I would lift my hands off of my slinged rifle and then put a hand on my belly and then just kind of give a little rotation and pull the trigger, because I could shoot that gun from being inside of its holster. And I used that more times than not. And it got to the point where it was just second nature, that as soon as I heard that word, mercy, or I don't know, people yelled bang bang at Paintball City, which always threw me off.
That's weird.
Airsoft terms? Okay.
Yeah, airsoft terms. It threw me off the first couple times. But just having that like knee-jerk reaction to go from holding my rifle to dropping to a sidearm and just pop.
Yeah.
Under my arm, because they wouldn't see it coming at all. Because like, oh, you raised your hand, you accepted it. I didn't say a word. I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I didn't say out. I didn't say yes, you got me. I just killed you. So walk off.
So Carlos had a question in the comments, like in the topic that we're talking about, is how close is too close to a mercy shot, and does it depend on paint, tolerance of the person, etc. I want to go first with this one. Is that
field velocity, naturally, and where you shoot them, your target. If you're within 10 meters, aim below the belt. By that I mean feet, legs, or square in the vest, somewhere you know it's not going to hurt. Hit a tank. Tanks make a ting. Don't hit a helmet, because helmets cause a concussion. They cause a concussive force on the brain. It's disorienting. You will get a red reaction, an angry reaction from people if you shoot them in the head. Of course, accidents happen. Knee-jerk reactions happen. You turn a corner, pull the trigger. Everybody gets scared.
Yeah. So on that point, it's really great. Is where are you able to shoot them? Are you shooting them from the back? That's going to definitely determine on how far away I will call a mercy shot.
Are they facing you? Are they facing away?
Yeah.
Are they looking like they're about to turn and fire? There's 1,000 different... It all becomes the situation. But if you get close enough and you notice them start to turn, always yell the word first.
Yeah.
Yell mercy. If they continue... It comes down to the escalation of force, right? You draw your firearm, you point your firearm, you aim your firearm. You give a command, mercy.
The other one,
don't shoot, blah, blah, blah. You have a choice. If they take an aggressive action, you take an aggressive action. If they accept it, they accept it.
Yeah. And
game's over.
Face to face, I would almost say to the point of point blank.
Pull the trigger. Oh, no.
The reason for that is that if I'm giving away a position and I'm yelling mercy and you're already shooting, like you're already facing me, it's who can pull their trigger faster and how quick can I hear you say mercy. So
it boils down to that's a different situation altogether. Situation altogether. It's a tactical advantage. If you're going for the stealth game, you don't yell mercy.
No,
you get up there point blank, you pull the trigger, or you barrel tag.
Yeah,
which is a whole different ball game altogether. Because a barrel tag, if there's no mercy rule, may not count.
Yeah,
because some fields don't allow rubber knives or contact at all.
So let me use my example here, is that at Barrie Paintball, one of my buddies got called mercy on and shot right away. And the example of that is that if I'm coming up on you slightly in your peripheral vision, you're not directly facing me, but it's a quick turn, and I call mercy, I'm running on adrenaline, you're so close to me, 3 seconds feels like 3 minutes. And me,
not even 3 seconds can feel like an hour.
Yeah,
depending on the situation.
And while I'm waiting for you to hear what I said, acknowledge what I said, and then respond to what I said, I'm already thinking.
Said it.
I'm already assuming that you're not going to take it, and I'm going to shoot. So that's why I would say don't even bother. Take the shot, because you'll piss someone off more by saying mercy, and then shooting them before they can respond, than 100%. You will by shooting them closer than what they necessarily are. And then the biggest one there is a what's the word I'm going to use here? Crap, I'm totally zoned out. Nope, it's gone. Oh, if it's a renter or an owner, yes,
nailed it.
Every owner gets shot closer, a renter I will give the benefit of a doubt to.
Yeah.
Because
I will.
one thing is that
get right up to his ass.
They're more likely to miss me anyways if I scare the crap out of them by yelling mercy. So that's my take.
Fair enough. And when we go back to the escalation of force, we're talking
Schubert. That makes no sense.
He posted a link. I'm gonna try and go to it.
You want us to commentate your video?
No, it's a story.
A story?
I'm gonna try and pull it up here.
Schubert, you gotta do more. Hey, Spencer,
shoot me that in a PM.
Dreadcam in the comments, everybody.
Yeah, he's been on the show before.
The Dreadcam. Hey, we have to get you back on. He hasn't been on the show since I started.
No,
I want to play with you.
Yeah, I haven't played with him in a while though. Since the last time we all played together at Eugenia, yeah. Anyway, so I want to go back to that knee-jerk reaction. A great example, and this is one I always come back to of a something in my brain just said he's going to try to kill you. I was playing at the Intermodal City on Georgina, and I had managed. We were playing one of those let them come in and defend the fort or defend the field, so to speak.
Yeah. And
while we were all dicking around and shooting the shit, some speedballer managed to sneak all the way up to that yellow boat right at the west end of the field, and just started raining holy hell on us. I managed to flank around from the trucks, around that one side, the barrels, the trucks, and those couple totes. Flank around behind him. I got to the front of the boat, and I was using his fire to move because it was right at the fall. There was crunchy leaves. So every time he shot, I would take 2 or 3 steps forward up the boat. And as I came around the bow of that boat, I aimed my gun, my marker at him. I yelled mercy, and just something about the way he was bringing his gun down, it just was coming a little too close to my profile. And I always aim my gun above your head, towards your face, but above your head, to give you that, like, I'm aiming for your eyeballs. I'm gonna shoot you. And something in my head just said he's gonna rake me. He's gonna fucking turn that gun towards me and pull the trigger. And I just pop, 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 and 4 rounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, right down the side of his head. I fell immediately. I ran towards him. Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? I felt horrible because I didn't even give him a half a second to respond.
Yeah.
I didn't get the Y out of my mouth before his gun started to come down. Like, I didn't get the E of mercy out before the bang happened. But it was just that knee-jerk reaction of mercy scared him. He turned. His gun was coming down. It was coming towards my profile. So I made that knee-jerk reaction of kill. Because, again, it's paintball. It's kill or be killed. It's
and this is what I'm talking about.
I'm actually getting kind of excited thinking about it. It was very intense, and it felt like it always comes back to those police videos where you see, oh, could he have been shot? Could he have been stabbed? But you see a guy going towards something at his backside. It may have been his wallet. It may have been a knife. It may have been a gun. This guy may have been just lowering his gun to say, yeah, I take it. But it came a little too close to comfort, and I reacted.
So, law enforcement aside, on the paintball.
Yeah, that was a bad analogy. But
not going there.
Not going there. No. We're not going to play that game. Carry on.
But yeah, to your point, I mean, escalation of force.
In their defense,
in a paintball situation, you're going down to fractions of a second of being able to judge a situation. Is that person aiming towards you? Are they shooting? Are they taking it? I really, really don't trust mercies, just for the fact that there's so much play involved in terms of what they can do versus what you can do by accident, right? Yeah, there's a lot of variable, and so 10 times out of 10, if I can get close enough to barrel tag, I'm going to barrel tag instead of mercy.
Fair enough.
Yeah, 100%. I will always barrel tag if I'm going to get that close, and I'm going to. My patented CQB or my patented PRZ maneuver along that east hallway is mercy, mercy, mercy. I never fire a shot through that hallway. If I can get behind a crew of people who aren't looking back, I never fire a shot unless I'm looked at.
I don't even say mercy. I just tap.
Oh yeah,
tap,
yeah.
Tap, tap, tap.
Shh, die quietly. Shh, don't say a word. There's legends, there's myths and legends of that hallway of people with a guy with a cane. A guy with a cane killed 7 of us.
So
got
Or
so
a
bad.
knife,
It got
a rubber knife,
no.
Mercy.
so talking about this one,
come
'cause
on. Nothing beats a cane.
that's true.
I mercied 7 people with a cane, Rolo.
I don't
No,
know.
the rubber knife store.
I think
No, with a what? No. There was a different game. It was not the
There's
Smurfs.
a different game. We're talking about Barry Paintball though, where you mercied someone with a knife.
Oh, when I pointed at him like a gun. Yeah. Barry Paintball. That was Praetorian. I was running around. I was the medic who murdered everybody. I played shadow games with a guy and chased him around or he chased me around the castle until I managed to get out of the castle and then down to some gully, and he just happened to run past me. I popped up, held my knife as if it was a pistol, yelled mercy. He turned and looked at me, and I said, "Oh, thanks, man." And then I wiggled my knife and ran away. And he just
Sorry, Tyler, I got him going.
Oh, that's fine. We've only heard the story like 3 times on the show. Just teasing.
Right.
So on the topic,
Have you heard the Evan
the what?
knife kill? Yeah, that's my favorite story.
No,
how I
which one?
killed Evan with a knife.
Oh, I don't know if I've heard that one.
Same game. I believe. Was it not Operation Praetorian as well? Yeah, it was. There was a bounty put on Evan's head. There was some kind of 50-50 or a draw where if you killed Evan during some mission, you got half of that draw. And the game was keep him. He was a VIP, and we were supposed to protect this guy. So the whole, every member of the other team had this idea in their head of what they were going to do with the money, give it away to charity, blah, blah, blah. So Evan was this very high value target. And all you had to do was kill him and your team got the money. Your team being your personal colleagues.
Yeah.
Group, not your overall team, because that would be a lot of money to spread among a lot of people. So I had just come back from Calgary. I just come back from Calgary. I was in the dumps. I had no idea about this bounty on his head. We'd played through this whole map. I had escorted him back and forth across the field, and our final Alamo location was at the far end of Barry Paintball. We had to go down that valley, and there's another valley at the road, and there's a bunch of huts to the east. So we go down the valley, get up the other side, and halfway up the other side, nobody could see. All of our masks were fogged up. The day was so rainy and garbage. No one had any visibility. And I'm going up the hill, and something didn't feel right. I saw a bunch of my players off to the right, and they were all kind of standing around, and just a sea of the enemy. And as we're walking up the hill, I hear murmurings, is that Evan? Just people were saying stuff. And then I heard Evan's gun safety click off, and my brain snapped. Nope. Pulled my knife, slapped it to his neck, and ran away. Just full leprechaun, down the hill, up the other side. It happened so quickly that people didn't know how to react. And all you hear is Brad Sturton from, what was the team? It was Danger Close once upon a time, or something to that effect. Dark Horse, sorry. Brad Sturton of Dark Horse. Did that just fucking happen? And I got to the other side of the hill and I stopped and I turned around. Nobody fired a single shot at me. I didn't even realize what I had done.
You forget the part where you're cackling like a madman.
Oh,
no, that didn't happen.
That it just
everybody says that I ran away laughing. I had no idea what I had just done. In my mind, I just killed my high value target. I just failed my own mission and then fucked off. I had just done everything I was trained never to do.
But the enemy had captured him, right?
But so what actually had happened was the enemy had wiped out our team. That was our Alamo. That was our final position. They had wiped us out. They had killed all of my teammates. They had held it, and they were waiting for us to bring him to them. They knew about our plan. And I fucked them. It was just this knee-jerk reaction, kill or be killed, and run away. Run away!
I like Carlos's comment here because it made me think of, the old comment of wait until you see the white of their eyes. He's wait until they're close enough to read their jersey.
That's way too far away. Wait until you can see the holes in their jersey.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's speedball.
So Dreadcam was asking us to watch the video.
The 2 hour mark.
I know we have. So we're gonna watch this video by Dreadcam. I'm gonna throw it up on the stream if you guys want to do it.
Oh, okay.
Just
so I'm gonna have to.
If you guys want to watch it yourself,
I'm gonna play. It's gonna bring it up full screen.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring it up full screen on the stream.
Are you gonna bring it up full screen on our?
Yeah.
Fuck, hold on, I just fuck.
I'll bring it up on the stream, so if you have the stream open, you'll see it. So it's an 11 kill spree, DC versus Marvel. Is that Crazy Bill Paintball? Sorry. For those that don't know,
Crazy Paintball.
For those that don't know, Dreadcam is a DIE sponsored player, so you'll see that all over it. But I want to use this as a discussion because he's a renowned player for not necessarily overshooting, but he finds people and goes on these kill sprees. So let's have a discussion on how you think he behaved during this once it's up here. So there we go.
He's still never killed me before.
Okay.
That's a challenge, dude.
It is a challenge. I used to get shot in the head so much. Is it just me, or is there new comments?
Not really.
10 seconds. Use the road, get as far up as you can, and break.
Oh, here we go. The video just came up for me on the live stream.
Alrighty, initial rush.
I'm watching from the live stream.
versus Marvel 2017.
Yeah. I see him holding and screwing on his barrel.
I'm shooting a DIE M2 marker.
It's a montage. It's gonna be a montage. A paintball montage. A Dreadcam montage.
I see all these barrels that we talked about, the water crates that are the popular.
I love those water crates. They're cheap and they're so fucking good.
Oh, see, I love this right off the hop. Okay, I gotta watch the stream because I'm watching the other one, which is ahead. This is
you gotta watch it as we're watching it.
This is position.
So we're watching it kind of as you guys are. There's a bit of a delay between what we see and what we're saying. He runs into the castle. He's already he's taking a position next to a window, and he's already starting to lay down fire. Like he was testing out his trigger to begin with, and there's 1, 2, 3 hits. 1, 2. I've already counted that guy out twice before he even made the marker on his scope. Look at this guy just dumping in. But that's just it. I love this. He fires until the guy calls himself out, which you can't fault him for.
Nope.
At all. This is beautiful. I love watching this. I wish he's checking his 6. He's making sure. I can't hear what he's saying, unfortunately. I don't have, because that would fuck me up too much to listen to him and us at the same time. But again, look at him go. Like that's a full squad. Guys, keep shooting. Hands up. The balls stop. As soon as the hand goes up, the balls stop. That's perfectly clean.
And
look at him go.
One thing I want to talk about too is on his positioning.
Whack. Hit that guy twice.
Yeah, but on his positioning right now, his 6 is covered. He is in a building where he's not worried about his 6, and he's focusing.
Oh, remember
out there.
0 hour? Remember that church off to the left in 0 hour? How many times? I guess you never really rushed into that with us, did you?
I did a couple times. I was up there.
Okay. Yeah, but that same position. Like we ended up just we had to clear our 6 and our 3 because our 9 was a fucking nightmare. But look at him go. Yeah, see, fire. And look at his. He knows when he's hit somebody.
Yeah, and situational awareness on this one.
Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, that guy's totally gone.
Okay, go ahead, Rolo. You were gonna say something?
Oh, it's okay. We'll watch the video.
Look at this. Boom. That's so okay. That kind of stuff bothers me. That was a deliberate headshot. That's always kind of a trigger when I'm watching these videos. That was a deliberate headshot, and those always bother me. If you're that close, aim for his pack, aim for his legs.
Yeah.
Sorry, Schubert. I gotta give you that. I gotta take that one away.
I would have gone for a body shot.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're
he's also wearing. He's even got that. I would have aimed for his pack because hitting his. It's a dick move, but hitting his pods is a tactical advantage because you could fuck up his paint for later.
I can show. I mean, if we're gonna be sharing videos, you can watch the what is it, 12 kill streak at CQB.
Oh, let's not watch
body shots.
Then we can start playing those. Yes, those were all body shots or knives. Those were body shots there. That was a clean kill.
So Rolo, PM me any videos.
Look at his fingers. I love his fingers. They're always ready to start going.
So I'm just curious. So where were you?
No.
Where were you going with this video?
Oh, Spencer had asked for us to show it and then just comment on it.
Dick.
So I just, because we were talking about close range shots and like some of these, so I wanted to bring it up here. I've seen some of this, not all of it.
Okay, so let's kill this feed. So I think we saw the close up shots that he's talking about. Like that's okay. He has no choice but his legs there. But that one hit in this, we can kill this feed now. That one hit was dirty pool, but so far I gotta say of the 20 or whatever hits you've gotten here, 9 hits
Yeah.
Eight perfectly good. No complaints.
No, okay. I mean, if you're getting bunkered, what are you gonna do? You're gonna shoot back, right?
Yeah.
I think that's just the rule.
So I wish I was at that game.
The one that I think that I didn't mind as much was the HK KLR pink setup.
Yep.
He was aiming for a guy that was high.
Oh, that
and then he moved. That one was fine, but yeah, you're right. The one where he got the guy right in the back of the head. No, that one was like And then the crossfield shots, I think like those were good. Those were a long enough distance. But he did do a knee shot on the one guy that was straight ahead of him. I think my biggest ones here were the just the situational awareness that the opponents didn't have on that. I think that was my biggest thing there. Like they were moving into positions that they didn't realize that they had, and that's what he's good for. That's what Dreadcam's really, really good for, is getting into a little spot and he just
he's a squirrely little fuck. Yeah, it's always been good for that.
And
yeah, frontliner, first to fight, first to die, right? You gotta come, you gotta fuck shit up. You gotta make sure that their front line is so disorganized that how many of them are past us? How many of them are up here? And they're scrambling, so that by the time your front line finally meets up to where you were, they're still disorganized, which is what he did a very good job of in that video, from what I saw.
Oh yeah, and that's something too. Like of course I'm gonna give him bigger ego, but I know he came to the MagFed games.
Bigger ego? No, not Spencer. Spencer's probably one of the most humble people I've ever met. Like every time he's like, "Oh man, thanks, man. You're such a, you didn't have to do that, man. He's such a nice man. I love you, Schubert. I miss you."
So he came to the MagFed games this winter, and he got to play with a bunch of people who had a predisposition on him, and how he played and how he carried himself on the field. I heard a lot of people say, "F that guy. I effing hate him, but I respect what he's doing." Like I hate him because he's a pain in my ass.
He has a speed. Honestly, it's because he has a speedball marker.
No. He was playing.
If he was doing all this with a phenom, no. If Dreadcam was doing all this with a phenom, nobody would say a fucking word. It's because he's doing this with a die that people are like, "Oh, he's overshooting. Oh, he's doing this. Oh, he's doing that." It's that they can't get out of their own operator headspace of him having a speedball gun, which is a far more tactical advantage.
So, in this scenario, though, he was using a die dam and playing MagFed. He was using one of the loners from George.
The video we were just watching?
No, not the video we were watching. The ones I'm talking about.
Sorry, my mistake.
At the MagFed League,
I don't listen to you.
People were still hating on him, but because they respected him, because he was making positions that he was just up there effing stuff up. So yeah.
As Rollo, as we have said 1,000 different D&D tomorrow. No, come on, you got to come play paintball. I'll have you home before D&D.
Now it is
what conversations are we having?
Come on, come with a date. Come on a date with me, Rollo. We'll make it a paintball date. I'll drive you. I'll pick you up whenever you want. I'll pick you up around 8. I'll have you home before 9. We'll have you in bed.
We'll talk about this later.
We'll have you
continue with what you were saying.
7. I forget. I was trying to pick you up.
All right, let's call it here because we are hitting the just over the 2-hour mark, and Jarvis has had enough beer that he wants to flirt instead of talking about paintball.
Hey. No. But that video was nice to watch. Schubert, you did a great job. That was that was clean. Of the 9 kills that we saw in your video, only one of them was a little bit questionable. But again, heat of the moment, headshots, dead shot.
Yeah,
get it done.
So so thanks guys so much for checking us out. If you just tuning in later, check out the earlier show. We did talk a whole slew of custom markers, custom gear, play style. We went on tangents, mercy rules. It was a good show. So Rollo, thank you so much for joining us on our 2-hour weekend show.
Yep. Vice Foxtrot, thank you substantially. It was a pleasure to have you on. You've always been a brother. You were, yeah.
I don't think anyone calls me Foxtrot.
I've called you Foxtrot several times because you don't always listen to Rollo.
It's just hard to hear.
Yeah, I know. And Foxtrot is 2 very loud syllables because Rollo kind of rolls off your tongue. Yeah, so. Rollo, Foxtrot.
Thank you very much for hosting me, guys. I had a great time.
Hey, you're always welcome back.
So for those who are looking for any games are seeing us out. I actually didn't make it to Sector's zombie game. Unfortunately, I had a personal thing happen right as I hit the field. But hopefully at Flag Raiders, there's a Make-Fed game that I don't think's gotten a lot of traction. So it looks interesting. Should be good.
Ooh, Wildlands. Yeah,
Wildlands.
That's next weekend?
2 weekends. It's after, because Halloween-ish.
What's the exact date?
Halloween.
4th. November the 4th, Saturday.
That's 3 or 2 weeks from now?
2 weeks.
Yeah, I can do that. We'll go to that. Yeah, maybe we'll do a road trip. Rolo, Wildlands.
Yep, pick me up.
Ooh. You guys are going? You guys being you and your team?
I have no idea. I'll post it to our group, but yeah,
I'm sure
I need a ride. So
hey,
discussions will happen.
Hey, yeah, no, you're on the. If I go southbound on the DVP, yeah, because then I can get on the Gardner and then through the QEW. Or to Hamilton area. Yeah, we'll think about it. Yeah.
We'll figure it out. All right, guys.
Yeah. I am Lord. Yeah.
All right, as always, guys, thanks so much for checking us out. You can find Talking Tactical.
Thanks for Talking Tactical, guys.
Yeah, we can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Twitter. If you missed the live stream here, you can watch it on YouTube. Watch the video after it's done posting, and all the audio is up on your podcast pages. Rolo, again, thank you. Jarvis, thanks for fixing your computer so you could make it and make us 4 minutes late.
That was a fucking nightmare.
And as always, guys, we will see you on the field.
Guns up.